Broadcasting from the 72nd floor of First Canadian Place in the heart of Toronto's financial district, this is #Finance, the podcast that profiles innovative entrepreneurs and thought leaders operating in the public markets. Presented to you by the CSE, the Exchange for Entrepreneurs.
Welcome to another edition of #Finance. I'm your host, Barrington Miller, and today I'm here with Michael Caridi, CEO of Tree of Knowledge. One of my favorite symbols on the stock exchange, TOKI, Toki. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Barrington. Good afternoon.
How was your travel from wherever it is you came from?
It was a long day of traveling. I left 5 o'clock this morning. I live in Greenwich, Connecticut, and flew out of LaGuardia. There was at least a 3-hour delay getting out.
Well, I know the weather hasn't been great, but the view is fantastic on the 72nd floor of First Canadian, and we're pleased to have you.
So I appreciate the opportunity.
Tell us a little bit about Tree of Knowledge.
So Tree of Knowledge is an interesting company. We say we're more of a life science company as opposed to a cannabis company. And we have a couple of different facets of the business. We have our pain management clinics. And we operate 3 in the downtown Toronto area, and also we're in one of the Walmart locations at Vaughan, where we have a multidisciplinary facility where we operate the pain management component within Jack Nathan Health, which is part of the Walmart infrastructure. They have 74 locations throughout Canada currently. And as new ones open up, we'll put our pain management doctors within the facility as well as physical therapy. And we also have an initiative with them to educate the doctors throughout the network, which there's in excess of 420 doctors throughout the Jack Nathan.
420, that's funny.
420, there you go. So, so in excess of 420 doctors that we're educating them on the benefits of cannabis and CBD products. And we have a very interesting doctor that's part of our team, Dr. Kevin Rod, who is known in the cannabis world and the CBD world for his research that's been going on, I'd say, close to 20 years. So when we're educating doctors, we're educating based on experience. Dr. Rod has been studying, and we've been doing ongoing research with University of Toronto, McMaster's University, and Ryerson. And soon you'll see some other interesting areas that we're getting into. And in the past, we've done research on opioid reduction, which is obviously a major issue, both throughout Canada, United States, and globally. So Dr. Rod has developed some programs with respect to that. We recently announced we're using a handheld ultrasound device for targeted CBD implementation for cancer tumors, which is very compelling. So,
wow,
it's all cutting edge, and we're at the forefront where other companies want to introduce products, but they don't have the science and the research behind it.
Well, that's the backbone. I just wanted to backtrack a little bit. Your pain management. So how does it work if I'm suffering from an ailment? Let's use my back, because I am suffering from a back spasms right now. So I go into these clinics, and what happens?
Well, typically it's a referral from your general practitioner, and then our pain management doctors will see you and analyze what the situation is, and if the circumstance arises where cannabis can be used in lieu of other conventional therapies, and then the patient will be educated on the process and given a prescription, which would ultimately be sent to an LP.
Okay. You touched on education, and Why is education so important in this legalization process and everything?
Well, I think today, there's a lot of misnomers on the world of cannabis, and more people are relating it to getting high. And there's so many medical benefits that are unknown to people, and there's so much research. Where Canada is much further ahead than the U.S. is because of the legalization process, right? The U.S. is now getting into some of the studies and research, but Canada has been ahead of the curve on this thing. So, it's really something that's an opportunity as you educate both doctors, because doctors are used to the conventional way of doing business, so it's new to them. We as a company, we also sell into Brazil for epilepsy and Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, and we went through such a training program for the doctors. We have the head of the Epilepsy Association of Brazil as one of our spokespeople, and we put doctors through about a 6-hour course of the benefits and some of the research and how to put someone on one of our products, which if you're not educating them, they don't know. They're used to being trained the old way where big pharma's coming in and giving heavy duty meds, right? So it's a real process.
Why is the ability to access the education so important? Because I know you start with the doctors and you have your program with the doctors, but ultimately it's the patients who are the ones dictating where this is going.
Well, typically you want the doctor on board to understand the process, because that's who's going to have the front line with the patient. But as we educate the doctors and they're comfortable with some of the new products and procedures of how to administer, we go further. We put literature out in the Jack Nathan Network so people can understand, ask questions, right? Mm-hmm. There's a few other initiatives we're working on, which you'll see in short order. But if more and more people get educated and understand, some of the benefits that are going on, they'll be more adapt to trying, cannabis or CBD products. And again, we're not interested in getting high with cannabis. We're using, low THC products and CBD products with other terpenes, etc.
So I'm interested in the device, the handheld device that you spoke about, that ability to detect or treat.
It's a nanotechnology of CBD particles using also gold particles.
Gold,
literally gold, and
like gold,
the golden touch, and it's implemented with a handheld ultrasound device. And you can actually target tumors, cancer tumors, with the product. So, it's really cutting edge technology, and I don't think anyone is doing what we're doing.
I'm blown away by that. This was leading into the next question: is what are some of the trends you're seeing emerging in the space? Clearly, you're at the forefront.
Again, I think there's going to be a lot of consolidation in this space. I think there's going to be companies such as ours that are taking the initiative to do their homework, do the research, and look for products that can benefit and create wellness out there and take on some of these ailments. And, cannabis and CBD has been around for hundreds of years, but no one has really done the research that we are doing and will continue to do, and continue with our alliances with these leading universities up here in Canada and globally. And, again, doing the homework and then getting out and telling the story and educating the doctors. That's how this thing will really start to mature. And, there's many companies, and for example, selling CBD products, but no one is taking the initiative to make sure that the consumer or the patient is getting the right products. On our products, we put QR codes where people can see in real time on a lot-by-lot basis that there's no pesticides, no heavy metals, no microbials. They'll be able to see potency. And unless you're taking that initiative, it may be a little more expensive. But if you're buying something off the shelf and they're not going through that pain of doing those extra testing, you could be hurting yourself. You may get a benefit from the CBD or a THC product. However, you may get sick from pesticides. So,
Right.
it's those types of companies, and we pride ourselves on going the extra mile to do things like that.
Now, when you deal with, or how closely do you work with the regulators, particularly Health Canada, because you have such a Canadian presence in the educating Health Canada?
Well, Dr. Rod, our chief medical officer, he is in constant touch with the regulators, and I know that they actually reach out to him as one of the foremost authorities on the sector. So I would say on a regular basis.
So we're in the month of December. This is usually the time when holidays are approaching, and we are reflective for the past year. What are some of the surprises that you saw in the cannabis space in 2019? What were some of your expectations? Were they met? Not only for Tree of Knowledge, but the industry as a whole.
I think overall there has been a lot of hype in the market. There's been a lot of infrastructure built, and I think till the education of the consumer, the patients, the doctors catch up, it's going to be some time before things settle out. I think for us as a company, I'm excited because I don't have to build the big infrastructure. Right, we can educate patients and introduce them and what have you, and all these other companies are spending tens of millions of dollars to build out these big facilities, and there's many grows, and you got to align yourselves with the right partners up here to make sure the patients and / consumers are getting the right products, right? So it's a tumultuous time in the market, and you see things changing, from one week to the next. And I think it's going to be a continuation, but it's still a multi-billion-dollar industry, and people have to say, hey, it's not a short-term play. This is a long-term play, and people that want to get into this market, they should invest now and be long-term holders. I think the hype is settled out of the market, and now it's going to be fundamentals. And companies such as Tree of Knowledge, Toki, are out there and
traded on the Canadian Securities Exchange.
on the CSE, yes. I think there's an opportunity if fundamentally you think we're going down the right path. This is something to take hold of.
Your partnership with Walmart, that seems huge. That's Walmart is a household name in North America, perhaps globally. How did that come about? Did you find them? Did they find you? Was it just a meeting across the fields? How did this?
Yeah, so the Walmart relationship is actually through a company called Jack Nathan Health. Jack Nathan Health run the medical clinics within the Walmart network. And it's not only a Canadian play, it's also a Mexican play where they're licensed to open up 300 locations, and also in the UK. And I know they're working on some others as well. So Tree of Knowledge will go wherever Jack Nathan goes. So Jack Nathan, my understanding is, has the exclusive within Walmart, and we have an exclusive within the Jack Nathan network. So as they open up new facilities, we bring in our pain management doctors, we bring in our physical therapists, and we also educate the existing doctors that they have, and we'll continue to educate the new doctors in any new facilities.
Some people are saying that the cannabis space is dead. You clearly do not feel that way. Why are they saying that, and why do you feel so differently?
Well, again, initially there has been a lot of hype, But as people really understand the benefits, and the U.S. market is very fragmented. I live in Connecticut, in Greenwich, Connecticut, and it's so new, right? And there's still a lot of fear in people, right? Will we get high from taking a product? And again, that's not our focus. Our focus is to extract the benefits of these products, to take you off conventional pharmaceutical products if cannabis or CBD products work for you, right? But we're only getting started. It's I would say, again, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and we're at its infancy. It was like the dot-com era, right, where things got all blown out of proportion. They settled down, and then there's a new foundation, and you start to grow from there.
How did you get started? How did you get involved in this industry?
And initially, I met a group that was in the recreational side of the business, in the beverage business, and they were young guys, and they weren't serious. They were able to raise a lot of money in a short period of time, and then blew hundreds of thousands of dollars over a weekend for a sponsor of the X Games. And from there, I said, this is not where it should go. So I took a step back and said, I want to be in the medical side of the business. And we formed a company, and I surrounded the company with the right people, the right board members, advisory members, and said, it's too big of an industry to play games in, and to just go out in a rec market is not something that I really want to be part of. I want to, be able to see it. And when I got into Brazil and watching some of these kids with epilepsy having tremors on a daily basis, or multiple tremors on a daily basis, and seeing that our products actually worked and helped people, it was, life-changing.
Was there, when you went into Brazil, was there any language barrier? Was there... because health is health. It doesn't matter if you're speaking English or Portuguese or Spanish or whatever. And since you're so big on education, I imagine it's sort of like a Rosetta Stone for you guys.
Well, for us, we align ourselves with some local partners who, overcame the language barrier for us, because I don't speak Portuguese. But anyway, I went down there and I met with some of the lead doctors, and most of them speak English. And as I mentioned earlier, we have the former head of the Epilepsy Association as one of our speakers. We have a very prominent doctor, Dr. Paula, who she introduced CBD to the Brazilian government down there. And so we were one of the pioneers initially to educate and let people know that there's an alternative to, like I said, some of the heavy medicines that they could be using.
So let's look forward now. We did the recap for 2019. What's on the horizon for Tree of Knowledge?
Well, I think you're going to see a lot of exciting things come to fruition. My feeling is we established our footing and our foundation, and now we're just going to grow the various pillars. So we have the pain management side, we have education, we have research, we have products that we create ourselves, our own formulations, and so now it's go time.
What's a popular one?
We have dosing control devices, which are medically prescribed, and again, here in Canada as well as Brazil, we have a number of tincture products. But again, it's not your typical tinctures. It's tinctures that we put together based on formulations that we've done research with. We have our own capsule line. We have different pain management, pain creams and facial creams and things of that nature. So, a lot of science goes into them. We don't just put CBD in a jar or THC products in a jar and hope they work. We know that they're going to work.
Well, Michael, I just want to say on behalf of the Canadian Securities Exchange, thank you for your continued and valued listening, and thank you for taking the time to come up here. If our audience wanted to learn more about the Tree of Knowledge or trade Toki, or how would they get in touch with you, or how do they get in touch with the company?
So my email is michael@tokicorp.com, and our website is tokicorp.com.
Well, thank you so much. And This has been another episode of Hashtag Finance. I'm here with a tree of knowledge and not only growing from the roots, but extending out through the branches. Thank you and have
Appreciate
a good
it.
day.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
We're social here at the CSE. Each and every day we'll keep you up to date on trending topics that investors are talking about, such as cannabis, blockchain, and esports. Follow daily CSE news and events on your favorite social media platform: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. You'll find exclusive interviews with leading entrepreneurs from a variety of industries, thought-provoking stories from across the world of finance, and updates from CSE events taking place worldwide. Join the conversation and connect with us today.